Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with co-host Jay Dash. Going to talk some Bucco baseball, specifically how the offense has blown up in the last couple games against the White Sox. They played 3 games out of a 4-game set. They played tonight at 8:05 Dash.
8:10.
8:10. I can
get it straight.
Why can't sports just start on the hour? What is up with that?
Yeah, I have no clue why they do that.
This Pirate offense, though, it's actually on fire for once.
This whole team's on fire. They're 38-27 on the season, second in the NL Central, 5 games behind the Cards, 20-5 in their last 25 games on a 7-game win streak. They're tied with the Cubs with 267 runs for most in the NL Central. Second least runs allowed by the pitching staff with 207. The Cardinals have 186, and their plus 60 run differential is second in the NL. They just passed the Dodgers the other day.
And the Dodgers got a good lineup.
Yeah, and they have 2 ace pitchers as well. Too bad for them. The Pirates have 3.
Till Liriano's arm falls off.
But really, this offense was in a scoring drought. They actually, from Sunday, June 7th to Sunday, June 14th, they went 5-2, so they were still playing good baseball, but the offense only scored 12 runs over those 7 games, and they actually won 4 of those games by shutout.
It's crazy.
So the pitching staff is dominating, and really, they're the one that put together that 5-2 streak for them. The offense actually scored just 1 run in the 2 losses that came both against Milwaukee earlier this past week. But on Monday, June 15th, the first game of 4 versus the Chicago White Sox, they won 11-0. So the offense blew up in a big way. It was their 5th straight win, and the 11 runs they scored and the 18 hits they got were season highs for them.
Good time to start peaking. You're a little more than 1/4 of the way through the year. You get everybody healthy. You know, they've managed to keep that going pretty much. If this offense keeps it going the way they are right now, I mean, the Cardinals, you hope, are going to drop off. You don't know if you're going to catch them, but you're at least going to grab a wild card spot.
It is an excellent time to start peaking. Your pitching staff is pitching as good as they have all season. You got Charlie Morton back. He's pitching excellent. The Cardinals are getting hurt right now. They're losing players to injury. So now is a perfect time to get hot offensively, because then I think you're going to catch the Cardinals actually pretty quick, because they're going to slow down very soon, I believe.
The one weird and hard part is it seems like every time the Cards lose, that's when the Bucks lose.
Yeah.
And then, you know, every time they win, they both win. So we haven't been able to gain ground.
Finally turned it around yesterday. The Bucks did get a win, and the Cardinals took a loss. So we actually moved up a game to 5 games behind them now. We were 6 for, I think it was like 22 days or something.
Yeah. Just a little bit of bad luck there, I guess.
But in this White Sox game where the offense blew up, they faced that rookie Carlos Rodon we talked about earlier this season. He was 2-1 and allowed 3 runs combined in his previous 4 starts. So he came into this game pitching very well, just like Matt Harvey did earlier this season when he met up with the Buccos, and they blew him up. But Rodon in this game, just 3.2 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 Ks. Actually, the first 5 batters of the game scored for the Pirates, giving them a 5-0 lead in the first inning with no outs, actually, but they did go down pretty quick after that.
It's all right. You put up 5 in the first inning with our pitching staff. It's almost a guaranteed win.
Yeah, especially with Liriano pitching. It almost gets lost in this game that Liriano went 8 innings, allowed 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, and 12 Ks. Moved his ERA down to 2.94 on the season. So outside of those 2 games where he got lit up a little bit, he's been just as dominant as Garrett Cole and A.J. Burnett has this season.
1, 2, 3, straight down the line, man. It's any team's number 1 starter. Maybe 4 or 5 would not want it.
But take a look at this first inning against Rodon. It started off with a Josh Harrison walk, and then Marte reached on an infield single to third. Harrison moved to second. And then Harrison moved to third, and Marte moved to second on a wild pitch by Rodon. McCutchen singled home Harrison, and Marte moved to third to make it 1-0. Gung singled home Marte, and then Kutch moved to second to make it 2-0. And then Cervelli coming through again. This guy has been a beast all season, and he's starting to get some all-star attention, and he might make it into this all-star game. But he tripled home McCutchen and Gung to make it 4-0, and then our boy Jose Taubata singled home Cervelli to make it 5-0 with no outs in his game, and the game was over by that point.
Well, doesn't Cervelli have the highest average of any catcher in the NL?
Oh yeah, he's been dominating offensively. He hasn't shown great power, but if you look, I mean, a guy that's probably going to make the All-Star game in Yadier Molina has, one home run this season? And actually, Cervelli's been better at the plate all around than Molina has been this season. And Cervelli is great at pitch framing, and he throws out his share of people as well.
Gung's cooled off just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit from when he was peaking about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he did peak, and then he cooled off. But you know what? He's actually starting to slowly turn it around again. After this game, he was hitting 280. He went 2 for 4 in this game, a double, 2 RBIs, 2 runs, and a walk. So he's starting to slowly turn it around, and I'm looking at this guy. I truly believe in him, and I think he is the long-term answer at shortstop, at least for the next 4 seasons to play out his contract.
Well, you better get a hold of the 4-letter network because they were calling him Kang all night whenever I was watching it. They don't even know how to say this dude's name, and they're the worldwide leader in sports.
I'll tell you what, baseball is tough because there's so many people with so many weird names that even if you do hear the name, it's hard to remember it for one, and it's hard to keep them all in line. It's just hard to do. I probably called him Kang a few times as well.
You don't get paid $150,000 a year.
No, I don't, but you should start paying me that much.
I would if I had it.
We need a couple more subscribers.
Yeah. Maybe a sponsor or two.
But the Buccos, they scored 7 on Rodon in this game, and then another 4 off of Hector Noesi. Mercer, Marte, and Gung all had RBI doubles off of Noesi.
He should have Noesi'd come into the game. Dude's beat.
But look at this. The biggest game by the offense, you're going to like this. Pedro is not in the lineup.
Yep, because he's garbage.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, Pedro's had a great season this year. He just wasn't a lineup in this one, and neither was Neil Walker or Gregory Polanco. And Polanco was really the only one that got in a bat in this game. He went 0 for 1. But 3 of your top players are not in the lineup, and you're still blowing up like this. But take a look. Harrison went 4 for 4 in this game. Did a bunch of things. Stole 2 bases. Marte 4 for 5 in this game. Had a double, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Kutch went 2 for 4, double, RBI, 2 runs. Gung, I already mentioned his stats. Cervelli 2 for 4, the triple with the 2 RBIs, a run, a walk. Taubata even 2 for 5 in this game. And really, he's hitting 300 so far. He's got 30 at-bats, has 9 hits. So, I mean, like we said, he's not a long-term piece on his team, but I love him as a 5th outfielder, someone you can bring up and stick in your lineup if someone gets injured, or if right now we need him as on the 25-man roster, but maybe if we bring in a bat at the trade deadline, you'll see him go. And then maybe be back up when definitely be back up when the rosters expand to 40 later in the season.
Well, if Pittsburgh media has their way, Polanco's going to be gone. We're going to need Tabata to start.
Please believe, unless we bring in an outfielder, let's trade Polanco for Hamels, get rid of Glasnow with him, and then we'll trade Tyon and Neil Walker for an outfielder.
There you go. Ruin everything.
But look, Harrison, he's hitting 280 after this game, so he's back on track. This is exactly the average I said you should expect from him this season. So everything is going well with Josh Harrison. Marte, he is on a tear. He actually had a game, it was either a 4-game stretch or a 5-game stretch where he had 3 or more hits, so he's on a roll. His average back up to 284, Kutch hitting 288, Gung hitting 280, Cervelli 323, and Taubata 300. But
doesn't count.
You take a look at these first 5 hitters here, plus you're talking Polanco, Walker, and Pedro. I mean, this offense is on a roll right now. Now, they did win the following 2 games after this game. They won 3-0 and 3-2, so the offense didn't keep scoring a ton of runs, but everything's fine with this offense, I believe. Everyone's hitting very well right now.
That's the only thing that scares me about the offense. I don't want to call it streaky because it's baseball, so streaks happen. But it's feast or famine, I guess is the best way for me to describe it. They're either blowing up or they're scoring less than 4 runs and just squeaking by with a 1-run victory. and you can't have everything in the world right, and the Pirates are a good team. It'd just be a little nicer to just see them, consistently win by 3 or 4 instead of either winning by 11 or 1.
I mean,
my heart can't handle that.
There's consistent hitters in this lineup, don't get me wrong. You got Kutch. I know he got off to a slow start, but you can trust him to be consistent. I think you could trust Harrison to be consistent. Outside of that slow start, he's been pretty consistent as well. There are going to be guys, though, like Pedro and Polanco, since he's young. Even Walker isn't always completely consistent. So every lineup has that, though. And the better teams, they also have the pitching like the Bucks do. So
right.
It's not something you want to look too deep into, I believe.
No, it just makes me nervous when the playoffs start because, you lose a 3-2 game right now. Okay, big deal. You lose your 3-2 game in the one-game wild card playoff and you're done.
Right.
So, that's a long way away, so the Bucks still got time to keep improving, even though they're already playing well.
Mercer's been hitting pretty well recently, too. He's a nice guy to have. Like, if you have to sit anybody, Mercer's actually the guy that comes into play, and I have no problem with him being our 9th fielder on this team. He's actually turning around offensively, but he's one of the best shortstops defensively in the National League. And his bat turned it around. He was hitting something like 160 earlier this year, and it's up. After this game, it was at 227. He went 2 for 5 in his game, 2 doubles, an RBI and a run. So I'm very happy with Mercer. I know you hate him.
Yeah, I'm just not even gonna say anything. He's just not good in my opinion.
See, last year though, I mean, you can't argue his defense.
His defense is good.
The second half of the season, I mean, you can ask any analyst around baseball. They believe. Well, it's not that they believe, they see it in the numbers. He was one of the top, maybe even top 5 hitting shortstops over the second half of the season last year. But he gets off to those slow starts and puts them behind the 8 ball, so it's tough for him.
I hit a home run in Little League once. That doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do it again.
Like I said, they won this game 11-0. They won the next 2, 3-0 and 3-2. They're going for a 4-game sweep tonight. The game starts at 8:10. I have 8:05 written here, but it is an 8:10 start. And then they start a 3-game series at Washington on Friday. And the first game is A.J. Burnett versus Max Scherzer. We just did a segment on A.J. Burnett. We talked about his start against Philadelphia where he went 9 innings. And we talked about his season overall and what his accolades deserve to be.
Beast. Somebody should just give him the MVP right now.
Yeah, I can't wait for this game. This is a huge matchup. And really, it's big for the playoff race down towards the end of the season because Washington's going to be right up there with them. And if you can take 2 or 3 here, you're going to have an edge on them.
Let's hope, because if the Cards keep playing well, the Bucks are going to have to bank on that wild card spot. And there's no shame in that when a team like the Cardinals are ahead of you. Sometimes you just can't catch them. I mean, if the Pirates win 92 games this year and don't win the division, you can't.
Can't hate on them.
Even I can't hate on them for that.
And you can't hate this offense right now. They got everything they need. Towards the trade deadline, I would try to upgrade a bench bat.
Yeah,
get rid of.
They don't need starters
Corey
anymore.
Hart got to go.
That's an odd
maybe
feeling.
Talbot in the end. But you got Alan Hansen, who we're going to do a segment on later this week. I think he can be called up later in the season. I think he's ready. So there's one bat you can bring in. One more bat. And it can be any position because of people like Josh Harrison that can play anywhere. And you have enough fielders at every position right now.
It's an odd feeling as a Pirate fan to say that they don't really need to go after a starter. And I mean, that's if somebody doesn't get hurt, obviously.
Correct.
But in the last 3 years, even the last 2 years, they were at the deadline trying to add to help win. We need something instantly that can help us win. We just need some people that are going to mesh well with the bench that we have and the players that we have, and maybe a new arm in the bullpen, because I'm not so confident in all of them. But yeah, the Buccos are in good position.
I agree, and this is their year. I truly believe this is the year for the World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I just don't see it, but I hope for your sake. That's it. Thanks, Dash, for coming in. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, you could follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You could follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our new website at thespreadnews.simplesite.com. Like us on Facebook and keep subscribing to that YouTube channel.